All right, welcome to a special episode of the Valley Community Baptist Church Podcast, or the Valley Avon Podcast. Today we are going to be meeting our new World Outreach Pastor, Asher. So welcome.
Hey.
It's good to actually sit down and talk with you.
Yeah, thanks, Bryan. It's good to be here with you as well. Thanks.
So I would just, so that everyone can get to know you, can you tell us a little about yourself, your family, your hobbies, anything like that?
Yeah, you bet. Yeah, it's great to be here. It's been kind of a whirlwind couple of weeks. But boy, we are excited to be here in Avon and particularly here at Valley. Yeah, I was blessed to grow up in a Christian home. My dad actually was a first generation believer, but my mom on her side, her dad was a pastor. And so actually I kind of won the family lottery when I said, hey, I wanted to go into ministry. So I kind of carried the tradition along. So I'm actually the fifth generation of pastors on my mom's side of the family. So it's pretty cool.
Oh, wow.
That, the Lord kind of led me this direction. But yeah, and I've had a great career up to this point. I mean, I've served as a youth pastor for a number of years. Then I worked for a mission agency for about 16 years before I got back in the local church and was at a church in Boise, Idaho, where we recently moved from. I was the outreach pastor there. And so my wife and I, we've been married, it was 37 years this last August. And we have an adult daughter, Hillary, who actually moved with us. So that was exciting for us that she made the journey across the country. But as far as things I enjoy doing, I mean, obviously one of the side benefits of being an outreach is you get to travel. And so I do enjoy travel. I like the adventure of discovering new things, whether it be food, people, places. And so I have kind of these routine things that when I go to a new place, the things that I want to do, just to jump into the culture and the people and things. But along with that, I love photography. And so it just kind of is a great fit with travel to capture my adventures with my camera. So yeah, I'm excited about just exploring some new things here in New England. And I mean, I've been out here a lot.
You get some foliage pictures out here.
Yeah, so I did. I mean, we actually, we came right at the end of the fall season this year, but still there was some nice color a couple of weeks ago when we came in.
Yeah.
But so it was great. But yeah, I'm looking forward to that. But when I worked for the mission agency, we had a couple reps that were out here in New England. And so I've spent a lot of time out here because I oversaw their work. And so I've worked with a lot of churches in New England, but still, nothing, it's just like outreach. Nothing really quite prepares you or what you're getting into to actually immerse yourself into the culture.
Oh, of course.
And so, so the last couple of weeks has just been the culture of Valley and look forward to just getting to know more about New England and the needs here and how we as a church can lean into that, but as well as getting to know our workers and families that and partnerships that we're blessed to have around the world. And so I look forward to just going deep and getting to know our families and partnersps as well.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Do you do digital or film?
Digital.
Digital.
And I mean, yeah, I have tried video, but it's not my. That's a whole other world, and
it really is.
It really is, and so, but I have, photography's been just a little part of my life for a long time, and so, but I do, but with that, I've got certain things that I'm a little better at than others, but yeah, I do like photography.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, you mentioned the several generations of pastors and first generation Christians. When did your relationship with Jesus become real to you? What was that? What was that like? Yeah, I know. Yeah. Like for me, I grew up in the church, and so you kind of grow up singing the songs and believing, and then there's that moment where it's like, oh no, this is my faith. This is real to me now. This is a living thing. What was like that for you?
Well, I would agree. I mean, back in the day, kids went to Sunday school. I mean, like now, but also you had Sunday morning, you had Wednesday night, you had Sunday night. Church was a little different how I packaged it back in my early days. But yeah, actually, I do know very clearly when I was 10 years old. I actually was at a summer camp, which it's amazing now that a 10-year-old they sent me away for the week, because I don't think parents would do that now necessarily. But
I got a 4.5-year-old. I think maybe in 6 years it might go away for a week.
Yeah, but we actually, the camp was on the Pacific Ocean, and had a great week. And at the end of the week, typical, they give an opportunity to people to respond to what they've been the teaching that week. And
Mm.
and I remember very clearly that. Yeah, I had a decision to make because, even as a 10-year-old, I realized what I believed was really what my parents had taught me, what, I'd heard on Sundays. But I knew I needed to make a personal decision. And so yeah, that evening went forward, it, yeah, and gave my life to Christ. And then shortly after that, actually, my grandfather baptized me back in that really close to that same spot in the ocean. And that's another story.
An ocean
An
baptism.
ocean baptism.
That's
And,
pretty cool.
I joke because actually I was double dipped because because my uncle, one of my uncles was filming it, and so baptism happened. He goes, wait, I didn't get the shot, so we had to redo it again. So I'm definitely have been well baptized.
Yeah.
But then, like a lot of students, it was in high school where between my junior senior year where I'm thinking about the future, and at that point, what I say, I kind of rededicated myself, and it was at that point that I began to see God's calling me into ministry, where I just said, "Okay, Lord, I
That
don't
young.
know, I don't know what the future is, but I want to give it to you, and I want to do whatever you want me to do." And then it was a series of other life experiences and events and ministry opportunities that kind of led me into full-time ministry, but also lay that foundation for missions and outreach.
When you were that young, did you know that call to ministry was going to lead to being a pastor? Or
Well, yeah, I mean, I had a sense in high school that, yeah, I wanted to be in some type of professional ministry.
okay.
But it was actually after my graduation from high school that I went on my first short-term trip. And it was during that experience that, um, that and then a couple other short-term trips after that. Because back in those days, you'd go out for the whole summer. And so, yeah, I had 3 trips in those first 4 years after I graduated from high school. And those really kind of laid the foundation for not only that calling into ministry, but also missions in particular that, God wanted me to be a part of taking the gospel to the ends of the earth.
Yeah. Yeah. I know some of those short-term mission trips for me had huge impact when I was Dominican Republic and Mexico, and
Yeah.
it was yeah, goodness gracious.
Yeah, and that's why I think it's important today to give people that opportunity, whether they're students or adults, because there's just something. Well, to me, it's a discipling opportunity, and to come along folks to meet them where they're at, but to get them out of their comfort zone. Sometimes doing things that they never thought they were going to do, and they see, wow, okay, God can maybe use me in this way. But more importantly, just seeing the needs that are there. And
there was I forget the name of the football player, but it was a football player who became a Christian, and he went over to Africa, and he was doing this speaking event, and he spoke to preaching or whatever, and then he got in the car and he drove for like an hour, and then he looked over and he saw some kids walking alongside the road, and he like realized that he recognized them from the event that he was at, and like he had left after everybody,
yeah.
And he looked over and he goes, weren't those people at the event? And the driver was like, yeah. And he was like, well, like, why would they walk this far just to see me? He goes, oh, well, sir, in America, you guys believe in God. Here, we rely on him.
Yeah,
so it was like, just those culture exchanges and that is so eye-opening.
Yeah.
But if I can ask, you mentioned working at with missions agencies and different things like that. Right before this, what led you to move on to Valley? If I can ask.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. Yeah, I was at another church about similar size to Valley, and was their outreach pastor. And like so many churches in America, we were struggling. I mean, just with the challenges of how to respond to the political climate, COVID, women in leadership, on and on and on, gender identity. And the church went through a crisis, and actually they're still kind of in that. And we had well, just a major leadership implosion is really the best way to describe it.
Mm,
And I'm by nature very optimistic. I am just thinking the best for situations and people and things. And so I hung in there thinking, okay, God's going to turn this around. But it became clear as I came into this year that, yeah, I just didn't see a future there for me personally, partially because I they had asked me to keep doing my outreach stuff, but to lean into some more executive things with staffing and things like that. And which, I have experience. When I worked with a mission agency, I was the operation officer. So I have a lot of experience in that area, but I just found I was getting further and further away from really what I'm passionate about, and that's outreach. And so, yeah, so February of this year, through a series of circumstances and mutual connections, heard about the opportunity here at Valley. And as I looked across the country, there's only really a handful of churches that have like a world outreach program like Valley. There's about 10, 15 churches that at least,
yeah.
kind of in the theological preference, where I land. And so, yeah, so actually in February, kind of started the process of discovery, working with the search group that Valley was working with. And um, yeah, we both found us we were a good fit. And so here we are. But, I should say, though, when we moved to Boise, we kind of hoped we were going to retire there. That was kind of be my last career move.
Right.
But here I am, and so hopefully this will be it. Because and this is actually my 8th move in ministry, and so I'm ready just to have a long run, and yeah, excited about the opportunity here.
Awesome.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, what is and referring to my notes here because
Hey, that's
I can
okay.
tangent off of what we're talking about, but I know we got a time limit here. Um, so I mean, I was going to ask what led you to take the position, but it seems like just the series of
Yeah.
circumstances and then the opportunity. I imagine there's prayerfully considered along the
Mhm.
way. But what is your I mean, I wrote here, what are your hopes for the World Outreach Department? But
Mhm.
really, like, what it could be a
Yeah.
philosophy. What's your what is your hope to see have happen here?
Mhm.
Um,
Well, first off, I feel super blessed to walk into not only a great church. What I can sense right now, there's real health with the staff. I mean, overall, there's health with the church, and then right in the core of that is the World Outreach Program, and it's got a great history from Pastor Doug, and then Susan stepping in for the last couple of years, and so I've inherited just a great program. And so obviously I want to honor what God's done in the past, and Lord willing, yeah, take us to what He has in the future. And I mean, my prayer has always been in my lifetime to see the gospel go to the ends of the earth in my lifetime.
mm,
And I just think it'd be so cool for Valley to be a part of. In some way, and I don't know what that means. We heard about it this last weekend here at the World Outreach Weekend, about taking the gospel to the ends of the earth, and I don't know what that looks like, whether it's happening physically with people on the ground, whether it's happening through media, but I mean, I think it's going to be a variety of ways, but I would just love, to see Christ return in my lifetime. And I know part of that is taking His word and giving everybody in the world an opportunity to hear about the good news of Jesus. And I just think it'd be so cool for Valley to be a small part of that in some way. And so, yeah, so I want to be a part of that for Valley. But also, another thing that attracted me here is just the re-engagement and local outreach. And yeah, so I'm excited. I was just at the local outreach team meeting last night, and just excited to hear their heart and their passion
mm,
to reach people here in the Farmington Valley. And I'm excited to be a part of that and helping shape that and what that might look like. And so, because I do think, we need to be a church that's a Acts 1:8 church, that we need to be reaching our Jerusalem, Judea, Samaria, the ends of the earth. And that needs to be happening all at the same time. Not like, hey, we're going to do our local outreach and then, oh, hey, then we'll do some regional. No, it needs to happen all at the same time, because there's people right next door. I mean, just, that
sure.
need to
Yeah.
hear
Yeah.
about Jesus. And even though they have a lot of opportunities, um, maybe they haven't heard, or seeds have been planted and someone needs to come alongside and fertilize and water, and hopefully reap and see people come to Christ. But yeah, so to give you a specific vision yet, I mean, that's going to come in time.
I
But I
imagine
do think,
it's got to be drinking
yeah,
from a fire
yeah,
hose right now, right? Yeah.
but to me, I think it's important for people to know that, I will have vision. I am a visionary. I'm very outreach, um, outcome based, and I like to be strategic in what I do, and Valley's that way as well. But yeah, I'm excited to see what that is. But I want to honor the past, and I want to build off of that for the future, and Lord willing, become a significant um, resource, not only here in Farmington Valley for other churches and for outreach, but Lord willing, around the world.
Is there? I mean, and I can edit
Yeah.
this out if I'm
Oh, it's
asking
okay.
the question. This wasn't on the list, but is there an area where you've it could be locally, could be around the world, led missions that you just have a particular heart for or relationship with that maybe we'd be able to establish here now that you're here?
Well, that's a good question, and obviously that was part of, when I'm looking at Valley and coming alongside them. I mean,
Sure.
I want to, you want to. I mean, I joked in interview process. Yeah, they're interviewing me, but I'm also interviewing them
Oh,
because
for sure.
because it's got to be a mutual fit. And so so part of Valley's, part of their DNA, their focus is in the Muslim world, and that's been mine for years, and primarily because that's really the last. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of major religions, but Islam has certainly got its grips on a lot of the world, and from my perspective, some of the toughest places to reach right now are in the Muslim world, and particularly in the Middle East, India, the Arab Peninsula, and so yeah, when I think about taking the gospel to the ends of the earth, I want to go to where I think. Where are those last strongholds? And those are in Muslim and Islamic areas. And so, so I want to build, and that's why, Valley's got a pretty strong presence in the Middle East, in the Arab Peninsula. And I want to build off of that. And we've got already Valley's got some folks just knocking on the doors in some of these tough places. And so that's, to me, that's why, I mean, that's really part of my focus, Ben. But then, as well as, there's that influence here in Farmington Valley as well, or in the larger New England area. And so we're actually looking at adding a short-term trip this next summer, to actually approach one of those things in New York City, where there's a lot of Muslim pockets there of different ethnicities. And so we're looking at jumping on, leaning into one of those opportunities that connects with stuff we're already doing internationally.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Right-
I mean,
right in
so
New
you
York.
say, I mean, that's just like came about in the last couple of weeks, because as we looked at what we want to do is because we're restarting our short-term stuff this year. I
Sure.
mean, we did have Valley had a trip this last year, or well, actually it was earlier this year, but this will be really kind of the relaunch after COVID and stuff. So so we're looking at, and I'm always trying to look at how you can connect stuff with what your heart, what your passion is, and get your people engaged in like people groups, or like in this case, like a Muslim context, where things that they can do locally as well as we can do internationally.
Wow. Yeah. Well, one of this is kind of a two-parting question, is like how can we, one, help you achieve this stuff? What can Valley members do to get involved? And beyond that, how can we be praying for you? Because I mean, I'm sure you're still getting settled and everything here.
Yeah.
Like how can we be praying for you? Is there something we can do to support you while you're getting settled? I mean, we're just grateful that you're here.
Yeah.
So
Well, thanks, Brian. Obviously, I have felt very welcome so far, and
Awesome.
and that's been great. And I don't think it's just like a passing thing. I do feel this is part of the DNA of Valley, that people are very appreciative and supportive. So I hope that just collectively, not only in the World Outreach Department, but really as a whole church, as we move forward, the Valley would, the folks would just come alongside the vision that God has given us as a church and embrace it, and trust the leadership and in the direction God is leading us. yeah, and just to see as world outreach as a part of kind of that overall vision for the church. But personally, yeah, like you said, we are we're getting settled. But I say settled, that I mean we're still looking for a house, and that's actually our biggest prayer request. And
Okay.
we put offers down on two places now, and we've been outbidded both times. And
Yeah.
so
That's the market right now.
yeah, and we thought it was a little softer and it wouldn't be quite as competitive. And so, yeah, so I mean, that's a big thing for us because, like anybody, you need to have that home,
Mm.
you need that home base settled. And so, we're in some temporary stuff now, but, our stuff's in storage. And yeah, would just love to find that place, and ideally be in a house before Christmas would be wonderful. Yeah, so we've got to find something in a couple weeks. And I think beyond, kind of related to that, what to pray for is that if God doesn't provide that permanent home, that we've got to look at probably some alternative thing to get us out of where we're currently at. Meaning whether we rent something for a period or whatever.
Sure.
So,
Yeah.
but anyway, we in faith just believe God's got that right house for us, and it's going to come together before
I'm
Christmas.
sure.
We're hoping, but yeah, that's big. I mean, honestly, it was a little disappointing yesterday to find out, because we threw a little more money at this place, and to find out we got outbidded, and anyway, so it's like, okay, Lord, you're giving us opportunity to just demonstrate that we do trust you, and you know what's best. And but that's hard sometimes.
Yeah.
It's just the reality. But it's like, okay, Lord, I know you're writing a story. I can look back and see a lot of cool things God's done to get us here, and I just know He's not done writing the story yet. And so we look forward to getting to the end of the chapter here soon.
Yeah, we'll look at it as not that we don't have a home yet, that He's preparing a place, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Perfect.
But
Well, now I'm going to ask you. This is where the interview gets hard hitting and possibly polarizing.
Okay.
Do you have any favorite sports teams?
Well, I have been asked that quite often. I mean, and yeah, I do.
And Pastor Joe's right across the hall, and he feels very strong about something.
Yeah,
so
and that's okay. And I mean, I think that's what makes some fun relationships, is to kind of bug each other. So I mean, I love sports in general, and so played a number of stuff, high school, junior high school days. But since a kid, I've loved the Dallas Cowboys, and I really my go-to sport is professional football. And so I've liked Dallas since I was a kid. And they've had some good days, have had some challenging days. And
one of my old students, when I was he was in my small group at Wellspring.
Okay.
Byron Jones played for the Cowboys.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very cool.
So I have to like the Cowboys now.
Okay. There you go. But and so so I've been fortunate. I've seen quite a few games. Have been to their new stadium a couple times, and so I mean, like I said, I like sports in general. And I met somebody here Sunday who's a big Eagles fan, and they're having a great season this year. And so Dallas plays them here in a couple of weeks, and it's fun. It's just fun. I said, hey, we'll have to kid each other, when the game's going on. But yes, but I'm respectful of everybody. But I do have my Dallas gear, and
I tease about being polarizing.
Well, it can be for some.
It really can be.
And for me, it's a whole new adventure coming to the East Coast. And so, because we've always felt on the West that we don't get the respect, because there's a lot of focus usually is on, like the SEC and the East Coast teams.
Sports-wise.
I'm talking sports-wise. And so, sorry, I'm still talking sports.
No, that's fun.
Yeah, and so it's kind of fun to be out here on the other side of this. And so, but anyway.
Well, thanks for taking the time to meet with us. It's all right. Can I just close us in prayer?
Awesome. Thanks, Bryan.
So, Lord, we just thank you. We first thank you just that for so long, even through COVID, that you've provided for us. You've kept this culture alive. You've kept this community going. That we've still been able to be a vibrant place for world outreach and change. And we just thank you that just through partnerships, through relationships, that we were able to meet Asher, that we're able to find him a place here. And Lord, we just ask that you, this home that you're preparing, that you reveal it soon, Lord, and that they're able to move into a place that feels permanent, that that Asher hears clearly from you, and it helps us develop a vision, and that we can partner alongside him to continue to reach the world in your name. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Thanks, Asher.
Hey, thanks.
Appreciate
it. It's been great. Thanks, Brian.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay. Good.